All right, we are recording officially. All right, can you guys see my screen? Wait, am I over here? I think I clicked on the wrong screen. No.
Yep, can see it.
All right, can you guys see Trading View?
Also, yep.
You can see Trading View, right?
Yes, yes.
Yep.
All right, just want to make sure. It said three, but then it popped up on one of my other screens. All right, I'll stop being a noob and we'll get down to business here. So some of the updates that I've done are working phenomenally this week. I'll just say that I haven't done a damn thing. I haven't optimized. I haven't done anything. I just set up one script on MNQ and on micro gold contracts, and it's been running. I think I'm actually in a trade right now. Let's check on that real quick. So I Google remote desktop into my computer that's plugged in over there. It's netted, nearly 3,500. This is currently on my take profit account. I didn't want to put it on my multiple Apex accounts. So I'm running this on my take profit account as of the present moment. But we are currently in a trade, and this is what it's done this week. I literally haven't done anything to it. Just let it run. Haven't even tried to optimize it because it's doing perfectly fine. So anyway, I'll jump into what some of these updates are. So the basis of it is the same. I pretty much just added a couple functions, made it significantly smarter by training it with data, essentially. So I downloaded a bunch of data from Strategy Tester, cleaned up the data, imported it into Python, uh, ran a bunch of machine learning processes on it to essentially extract when it was a winning trade versus a losing trade, what were the indicators essentially saying, and then optimized for a nice range of when the indicators should be at in order to essentially boost more profitable trades, like get more profitable trades by fine tuning with the whole data set. So I went through all of that, and I've added machine learning over bought and oversold levels. So essentially, this is one of the big updates that took me quite a while to figure out what would be an optimal number to adjust these by. So let's just say, like in the stock standard here, we have 70-30. If a winning trade occurs, so the trade was a winner, then it'll keep these user inputs that you put in here. If you have this clicked on and it's a losing trade, essentially these numbers will be dynamically updated. So like if it was a losing trade, let's say it was a losing short, let's just pick a number. This would go up to 75. So it like fine tunes on your overbought, oversold levels according to the data that I imported in, and it'll adjust automatically after a losing trade. And then after a winning trade, it will go back to these user interface levels here. So it's essentially to negate consecutive losers is the idea behind that. At least try to minimize them by making the conditions tougher after a losing trade occurs. So you have to have this clicked, turned on for that to occur. We can pull up the strategy tester here, just kind of see what it does now. So this is in data that I have imported, and I'm going to automate the process. I just haven't yet. So like periodically, I'll just have to retrain the system every couple weeks is my plan until I get it fully automated. But you click this on, and as you can see, it negates a couple losers there. It looks like 180 to 215, boost your profit and your percent profitable up quite a bit. And so that is a very nice update. It essentially will negate some of your losers from having too many consecutive. As you can see here, like we're getting like only one in a row before the next one turns into a winning trade. So that is a very nice update. Literally don't have to do anything for it. Just do what you were doing before, except just toggle this on and off. This will make your conditions tougher to reach the next time after a losing trade. Now, after a winning trade, it'll go back to these preset values and your automation will just keep on going. I'm going to go ahead and since Connor just joined, I'll kind of just shorten what I just said there. This new function here essentially will dynamically adjust your overbought and oversold levels based upon data that I've imported into the system. So if you have a losing trade, let's say you start off at 70-30, you have a losing trade, these numbers will automatically adjust before you place a next trade. So the conditions will get tougher for it to meet. So that's ideally negating consecutive losers. So just real quick, we're kind of only getting like one or two trades in a row that are losers. You see we have two here, we have a couple here, but anyway, it's significantly boosting our percent profitable by doing this. So there's nothing really different you have to do. Just pick whatever numbers you want to automate on, let's say 38 and I don't know, 75. And then have this button toggled on, and it will dynamically update as you are essentially as it's automating for itself. So it'll get smarter as time goes on. The conditions will continue to update after a losing trade, essentially to make the conditions tougher to meet the next trade. On top of that, I won't go too in detail on this, but all of these I trained with data here. So essentially, I imported a bunch of data in order to fine tune these, especially these like 5 here. So these are all machine learning processes. I essentially went through with a bunch of data and fine tuned like between a winning trade and a losing trade. What were the indicator readings essentially? Put it into Python as well. Built a machine learning process off of it to fine tune the indicators. And so now it's all set based upon a range of indicator values. So all of these, ideally, you don't want to have too many of them on at one point. And that's only because like you're going to drop how many trades you're taking by having more of these on. I really love this momentum machine learning one. I'll say it's making a huge, huge difference overall. Just moving on, like these are pretty much the same. You can kind of stick with what you've been doing. Think about it the same. Just look at it, say, this is going to make my momentum condition better. This is going to make my trend condition better. If I want to trade with the trend, if I want to trade ranges, this will be the button for you. If we're in a large ranging price action week or whatever, this will be the one for you. Volatility, just think about it, high, low volatility. We're only going to trade with volatility. This is for volume. So we want significant volume for each of our trades. The higher low and the price consolidation condition remain the same. So price must consolidate a certain amount. And then this is essentially another trend filter to ensure that we have higher lows, such as right here. So we come up, we set a higher high, we come down, we set a higher low, because this point is higher than this point. So it's a higher low. And then that essentially would confirm a uptrend for you as well. So not too much has changed here. You don't need to know all the math and everything that goes in the background of it. Just think about it as I want to use this to optimize my momentum signals. I want to use this to optimize my trend, my ranging, my volatility, my volume. And again, try out different functions. Right now, I'm pretty much just using the momentum one for longs, and I want to say it was these two for the shorts. No, I'd have to look back and see what I had clicked on there. So that's pretty much what these are. It's, a nice, I tried to make it as simple as possible for you guys to understand by just honing in on the one word. for what it is. And if you have any more questions, feel free to ask if you think of them now or if you want to ask later. If you don't have any questions, I'll go ahead and move on to this next point here, which is a really awesome feature that I built into it. But if you have any questions, I'll stop for a minute. That's what you ask. All right, we'll move on then. So this dynamic position sizing strategy, I essentially got this from a casino strategy. So in casino strategy, if you, let's say you're playing blackjack, okay, and you lose a hand, let's say you lose $100 on that one hand. The next hand you would go in and you would put $200 down. If that's another losing trade, then you put 400. So essentially you're doubling it each time. Okay. That is the casino strategy if you have infinite dollars. Now, this strategy is not exactly that. I am doing the opposite of that. So after a winning trade, we are doubling our position size in order to capitalize on the next one, ideally being a winning trade as well. So let's find an, it doesn't always occur. Wait, do I have this? I'm in a queue. I'm in a queue. Okay. Yep. Looks good. So as we can see right here, wait, where'd it go? There we go. So we get a doubled position size here. And essentially we are risking twice as much to gain twice as much as well. And that is after a winning trade. So this long trade here transferred over to, nope, that's not right. Okay, let's find a different example. There we go. So we have a winning trade here, and then it doubled our position size. And this is plus almost $1,300 because it was in our lower bracket of our position size. And I have it set up to target 2.5. So think about this. It does 2.5, you're targeting 2.5 R. We're risking double the amount because we just had a winning trade before that. So we're risking $500 in this trade. 500 times 2.5 is 1250. So this is really capitalizing on the next trade being a winning trade as well. So the casino strategy is after a losing trade, you double your trade. That's not what we're doing because I don't want to double consecutive losers in a row. Instead, what we're doing is we're doubling after a win. And if it so happens that it is in this small stop distance here, then we get very large winners. And so that's really how this is boosting our profitability up from like, I don't know, let's toggle these off real quick. From 16.8K down to probably 8-ish, 11.5. And so really honing in, and it doesn't change the number of trades that we do. It doesn't change our win rate at all. It just increases our profitability. So I'm a huge fan of this. I'm loving it. You have filters to just do longs if you want, or you can just do shorts, or you can do both. I have it set to both currently because it's just nice and profitable. But essentially with this, we can target lower risk to rewards on these bottom two, essentially is how I would play it, because sometimes we're going to have 2 times the reward that we normally would. So we'll be risking $500 instead of $250, for example. But if it gets doubled, then we're still getting the 1R out of that, essentially, and we're still getting 2.4, and essentially we would be getting 5R out of this. So this is creating a very profitable sort of strategy here. Our max drawdown is still quite low. But with this, we're able to lower these risk to rewards and increase our win rate significantly. So this that I have on is like a 64%. I haven't really gone through any of the settings or anything. This is about what I'm running right now, pretty much the same. I think I might have had something else toggled on. But I'm pretty sure this was exactly it. I think it was this for the shorts. I can't quite remember what it was. But anyway, long story short, that is a very nice update. So really, you don't have to do anything except for have these toggled on or have them toggled off. If you have them toggled off, nothing has changed about this. But essentially, that's how I'm operating it. I'm keeping this at 2.5 because if it's a small stop loss distance, then you're more likely to get that, let's say, 10 points out of the scalp move than say if it was 30 points. Okay. Um, and so that's why I'm keeping this high because there is a good amount of times where we have, like 1250 winners or something along those lines. I think I had two this week or something like that. And so it pops up. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not always, where did I just see that? It's not always a winning trade after you have won. So this was a minus $500 loss. But over time, it's your winners become substantially larger because of this new optimization here. So I'm choosing to use it. It's there if you guys want to, by all means. And so that's essentially what this is doing. It's using the reverse uh, essentially casino strategy. So the casino strategy, just say it again, is doubling after a losing trade. So you lost $100, you put $200 on the table to make back that 100. This is doing the opposite. So after a winning trade, we are doubling our position size because we're more likely to have another winning trade after it than we are to not have a winning trade after it. So that's this thought process here. And then I think the last thing that I updated here was using this higher time frame, low volatility filter. This is going to avoid ranging price action. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to essentially mitigate some losses, increase your win rate. It does come with a good amount of trades that are negated from trading, but honestly, 300 trades on a couple months, like 3 months or so of price action, that's a lot. That's a lot of trades already. So um, that's a very standard. It's just a volatility filter. If it's super low on whatever time frame you want to put in here, then it won't trade under those conditions because those are more likely to be ranging conditions. Um, and then everything else other than that, like all of those things that I just mentioned, all you have to do is click the button, toggle it on, and kind of go from there. So this is pretty much the settings that I'm operating on right now, that I have this, pretty much $3,500 winner on the week, and it's only Wednesday. So um yeah, so I think that's about it. Everything else here is pretty much the same as it was. We have the higher time frame EMA filters, the momentum filters, the don't trade during this time period filters, days off, time off, profit and loss limits. So if you only want to make $1,000 in a day, toggle that on, and max trades per day. So pretty much all of that is the same. The only things new are these volatility filters to avoid ranging price action, and dynamic position sizing strategy, and then these machine learning strategies, which function very similarly to how they did in the past. I've just now trained them to be smarter than I originally had coded them. Um, and then this will dynamically update after a losing trade if you have this toggled on. And then, yeah, everything else is the same. So any questions? That's pretty much the gist of all the updates here. A nice little run through.
Are there no more stochastics?
Numerous stochastics, like
No, I
talking
just
about.
didn't see I just didn't see. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, I just renamed it to momentum filter because this actually looks at two different types of momentum now and not just stochastics. Um,
Gotcha.
so both of them have to be with like a bullish bias now on this time frame that you choose. So it would have to have the stochastics as well as another indicator, both saying bullish on a higher time frame or a lower time frame, whatever you want to choose, in order for the trade to be fired. Good question. So I'm slowly just making it smarter and smarter, and trying to also limit the uh, amount of overfit that you put into building a strategy. So if you guys want to, like, feel free. It's not financial advice, but these are pretty much the same settings that I'm currently running on and have, this profit for this week so far. I want to say I had one other one toggled on here, but I can't quite remember what it was. maybe it was both of these, but yeah. So if you have any other questions, feel free. If not, I will, just kind of open up the floor for anything really. So since this is machine learning, you really don't have to pay as much attention to it anymore. Like if you're gonna do the lower time frames, yeah, definitely. I'm just automated on the 5 minute. I probably won't even really mess with the 15 second if it keeps producing this weekly P&L. Then I probably like there's no need to make that much money by putting in more effort. So um, yeah, feel free to fire off any questions if you have any.
There was one question I had, just with like the profit limit, where
Yeah.
it's basically just like, yeah, I've been trying to like figure this portion out, but just like the profit loss limit, where it's just limiting how much you make. And I'm guessing is that per day or per week?
Yeah, it's per day, so it will reset at this time down here, which is currently at 6 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time, which is when the market opens back up. So it resets each day after the market closes and then reopens. It'll reset that value back to
Gotcha.
whatever you type in here. Now, the only thing I haven't figured out how to do this because it looks back at one day. I don't think there is a way. It's not really that important. But when you click these on, it gets rid of any trades that were not in that same day. So like as you can see here, we only have one trade that's occurred. But it's still like all of this data is still there. It's just when you toggle these on, it only looks at that one day. So it's really to be put on the very last thing that you do before you click on the automation, because it'll get rid of all that previous data, essentially.
So I guess the only other thing I have about this portion right here, so like you're limiting yourself, let's just say to $1,000 per day, and then it resets at 1,800 hours, and then you're only taking like five max trades per day.
Mhm.
So would it essentially you need to toggle on the profit limit plus the max trades, or just one or the other?
Just one or the other, or I mean, you could do both and just whichever one gets hit first, essentially. Say you had four trades, but you hit your profit, it'll shut off until the reset hour, essentially. So honestly, you can have all three of these on at the same time if you would like. And whichever one gets hit first, it shuts it off until, the next day, essentially.
Gotcha. Cool.
What do you think of the updates?
I'm gonna say, is this live already too?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So I just shared the update with you guys like right before this meeting. So you can go in and set up your strategy if you want. These are the settings I'm currently running.
So why did you for the maximum stop distance, um, the max, so zero point 0.5, why would he not set it for like a one instead?
For this guy,
Yeah.
uh, so because I want a higher win rate, and so that's why I did 0.5. Like if I change this to one, it'll drop our win rate, like 10% or something, and it's actually less profitable. So I wanted the higher win rate as well as the just win more as well as like you could probably change this to, I don't know, zero point 0.8 or something like that. And kind of just play around with it, see how it updates. But I found a really good success with the zero point 0.5. And so if this trade ends up being um, a dynamic position sizing strategy, so then we would still get 1R out of it, was the thought process behind that. And that's probably why this net profit is being boosted because we're having a significant amount of these being the doubled position, essentially. And if it ends up being this one, you got a nice payday there for sure. Um, so yeah, does that answer your question?
I think that's pretty
So
much all the questions I have.
Sweet. Yeah, 64% win rate with a 1.5 R. That is a very nice strategy right there, as you can see by the net profit. Let's see. If I go into the statistics here a little better, um, this is exactly what we want to see. Our largest losing trade was twice the size of um, our preset limit. So we're risking 250. And so we want to see it right at that double since we have these clicked on. We also want to see our largest winning trade is the 2.5R that got doubled in position size. And so essentially just confirming that there's no outliers, essentially, is what I like to do right before I turn on the automation, essentially. Um, and so you can kind of look through this, make sure you're losing and your longs and your shorts are roughly the same profitability. Otherwise, you might want to fine tune a little bit more. Um, and so with these new updates, like I'm seeing a significant amount of shorts are actually becoming profitable with these new updates because of I'm assuming it's because of all the fine tuning that I did on these machine learning optimizations, as well as this overbought, oversold machine learning optimization. So having that data in there really was able to fine tune kind of what needs to occur for a strategy to be profitable over a good amount of time. So, or at least enhanced profitability for sure. So, let's see. What else can I go over here? So after a couple of weeks, I plan to download this same data set and then retrain it again to ideally make the results even better. Once I have the data from like all these machine learning processes, I'll be able to fine tune even more into what was profitable with these machine learning processes on there and potentially fine tune it even further after that, is the idea I have in my brain. So probably like I don't know, December 1st or December 10th, somewhere in that range, I'll get around to that. Actually, that's right. My finals are. I'll probably do it like right after my finals. That way we get like a month of good data to retrain the system again. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I got for you guys. If you don't have any other questions.
Have you ran this on like Bitcoin yet?
So I haven't because Bitcoin only does micros and like you have to buy like 10 micros for it to be one full contract and you can't buy a full anyway, just the fees are too outrageous, especially with these dynamic uh position sizing strategies on like I could get buy 60 micros, which is just absolutely insane fees, and especially because that's what you would have to do to risk $500 in Bitcoin versus with let's say Nasdaq here, majority of our trades are like right around the 15 to 20 range that are getting doubled. Um, and so anyway, it's just like the fees will just cut into your profit. So I haven't. I pretty much just will do like the longer time frames on it. If you wanted to, like the 15-minute or the 1 hour would be good because then your fees aren't cutting so much into your profit. Um, but that's essentially how I would go about that. I just don't like losing, $100 of the value of your trade just to the micro fees.
So MNQ doesn't have any micro fees then.
It does. It's just we're not buying as many contracts
Gotcha.
because it's worth more, essentially. One Bitcoin's worth 90,000. One full NQ contract is like 300,000. Okay, so that's why we have to buy less to risk the same amount, and therefore your fees aren't um, getting associated with it too much. So as you can see, it looks like this one might be a loser. Oh, was a loser. That stinks, but oh, and it was a doubled one too. That blows. Um, but essentially, like, yeah, I just don't want to spend that much in fees just to target Bitcoin essentially. But you know, if you do the higher time frames, then you wouldn't be spending that much on it. I just don't want to over automate with this because it's already taking so many more trades than it was before. Um, like almost 300 trades before it was probably like 150 or 120 or something like that. So we're already taking more trades, and therefore I just don't want to over automate and have too many asset classes going. I'm on gold and NQ right now because they're just complete opposites, commodity versus equity. So that's essentially how I'm going about it.
So pretty much just going off of NQ when NQ is going up, and then going off of commodities when commodities are going up.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I like having one per asset class. Like Bitcoin is neither of those for sure. And I would be automated on Bitcoin too if it weren't for the abnormal fees that you have to pay because the contract is just not worth as much as
Mhm.
like NQ or gold. Like 1 point in Bitcoin, which it moves by fives. So that is like, I think it's like if it moves up $10, I think it's 10 cents that you gain for one micro contract or something like that, or $1. I think it's $1. Anyway, this moves up 1 point, you gain $20. So, um, or I guess NQ, you gain $20. This is like $1, I believe, if I remember correctly. So yeah, hopefully that answers that question. And gold is like it's $100 per 1 point on the full contract. And on the micro contract, it's 10 for 1 point. So quite a big difference. All right, well, if that's all your guys' questions, I mean, I can cut this off. I think we're approaching the end of the time anyway. So, yeah. Still got 8 minutes in case anybody has any final questions.
Thanks, Ryan. I don't have any questions right now. I think once I get a opportunity to actually go through the script, and I might have some questions for you.
All right, sounds good. Feel free to shoot them over if
All
you think.
right. Thank you, man.
Yep, no problem.
Cool.
All right,
I'll see you
well,
later.
yep, see you later. Thanks for joining. And this, where is, oh, stop sharing. All right, peace. Have any questions?